Okay, let's dive in with a question that really challenges our modern ego. You, me, everyone listening.
hmm
We've got smartphones, rockets, all this amazing tech. We think we're definitely at the peak, intelligence-wise. Way smarter than someone from the Stone Age, right? I mean, surely.
Yeah, that's the default assumption, isn't it? But the research we're looking at today paints a much more nuanced picture. It's actually kind of humbling. Our mission here is to really compare the core intelligence of modern Homo sapiens, us, with our Paleolithic ancestors. And what pops out is that the massive difference we see isn't really biological. It seems to be almost entirely cultural.
And the first thing that hits you, like you said, is humbling. It's the brain size. Because get this, Paleolithic humans actually had slightly bigger brains on average. That just seems completely backwards.
It really does. It's a great starting point. Today, the average brain is about 350 cubic centimeters. But if you look back, say 10,000 or 20,000 years, that volume has actually shrunk by maybe 5, even 10%.
Okay, wait.
And if you go even further back, look at Neanderthals, who were around at the same time as early modern humans. Their average was even bigger, around 4,410 cubic centimeters.
Our brains are shrinking. That sounds not good. Is it like we're outsourcing our memory to Google and our brains are just getting lazy? What's going on?
Well, that's the fascinating part. The size went down, but intelligence, as we measure it, didn't seem to decline. So the why is really interesting. It likely comes down to efficiency. Think of it maybe like ancient brains were these huge, older desktop computers, powerful, but needed a lot of energy. Our modern brains might be more like sleek laptops, smaller, but way more efficient in how they process things.
Oh, okay. So it's not just the size of the hard drive. It's the processor and how everything's connected, the wiring.
Precisely. Our ancestors, maybe especially Neanderthals, might have needed that larger size for, say, bigger visual processing areas, or just handling more raw sensory input. Which makes sense, right? Their world was incredibly rich, sensorially speaking, and survival depended on picking up every little detail. We might have just evolved leaner, more efficient processing.
Okay, optimized.
Yeah.
Makes sense. But the core question is still there. If we traded bulk for efficiency, did we lose some raw potential? What of the basic genetic blueprint?
And that's where it gets really leveling. The evidence suggests that genetically, ancient and modern humans have pretty much the same potential for intelligence. There was a really compelling study, I think it was 2022, that looked at genetic markers linked to intelligence in people from about 4,000 years ago.
And the finding was clear.
Yeah, pretty firm. The conclusion was that those ancient individuals were, and I'm quoting roughly here, not inferior in intelligence compared to present-day humans.
Wow. Okay, that's the real kicker for me. That's the aha moment.
Right. It means if you could, time travel a baby from the Paleolithic era.
And raise them today, yeah?
Exactly. Give them schooling, internet, the whole modern package. They'd be indistinguishable from any kid today. The fundamental cognitive hardware is the same. The difference is all about how we use that hardware, which leads us nicely into this idea of different types of intelligence.
Right. You mentioned two types, fluid and crystallized. Can you break those down for us? Maybe with, I don't know, a pop culture analogy.
Sure, let's try. So fluid intelligence, that's your raw problem-solving power. Thinking on your feet, adapting to totally new situations where you can't rely on what you already know.
Okay, like thinking Marvel Universe here. Maybe like Iron Man facing some brand new alien threat he's never seen. He has to instantly figure out how his suit needs to adapt, improvise on the fly, that kind of quick adaptive thinking.
That's a great analogy. Exactly. It's that raw, adaptable processing power. And then crystallized intelligence is all the stuff you've learned, your knowledge base, facts, skills, cultural wisdom. It's like accessing the entire database of SHIELD or knowing all the history of Middle-earth. It's the accumulated knowledge you draw upon.
Gotcha. Okay, fluid is the quick thinking, crystallized is the library. Now here's where it gets interesting, because the sources suggest that fluid intelligence might have actually peaked way back in our past.
That's the provocative idea, yeah. And it makes a certain kind of sense when you think about the Paleolithic world. The demands were constant, immediate life or death. Our ancestors needed that super sharp, real-time problem solving just to make it through the day.
Like what sort of things?
Well, think about navigating huge territories without any maps or GPS, just pure memory, observation, deduction. Or tracking animals, figuring out where they went, predicting their behavior, dealing with sudden changes in weather or terrain. All required instant, fluid thinking.
Yeah, I read something about their perceptual abilities being almost savant-like. that they could just see and notice way more in the environment than we do.
It's quite possible. Their survival literally depended on picking up tiny details that our modern brains tend to filter out. We're so focused on language, on abstract thought. They might have had a much richer, more detailed sensory input. Imagine seeing a single bent blade of grass and knowing exactly what animal passed by and when. Or smelling faint traces in the air we wouldn't even register.
Just tracking an animal for miles.
Yeah.
The amount of continuous observation, prediction, and adjustment
Yeah.
that takes serious fluid intelligence working constantly.
It really, really does. So maybe they couldn't do calculus, but they absolutely knew which plants were food, which were medicine, and which would kill you. And they figured that out through incredibly sharp observation and trial and error.
Okay, so their strength was fluid intelligence and perception. Which brings us back to where we shine. Crystallized intelligence.
Exactly. We stand on the shoulders of giants, culturally speaking. We benefit from, 10,000 years plus of accumulated knowledge, passed down generation after generation. We have writing, math, science, technology, all this cognitive scaffolding, you could call it.
Yeah.
It lets us build on past discoveries and, importantly, externalize our thinking.
Externalize.
Yeah.
Meaning we don't have to keep it all in our heads.
Right. We don't need to personally memorize how every single plant works, or the migration patterns of every animal, or the complex social rules of a large society. We write it down. We store it in books, computers, databases. We Google it. Our knowledge isn't just inside our skulls. It's distributed across our entire culture and technology. We use Google like an external hard drive for our brain.
That trade-off is just fascinating. The sources use this great analogy they called Paleolithic people Swiss Army knives.
And it fits perfectly, doesn't it? They had to be competent across a whole range of essential skills. Finding food, making tools, building shelter, navigating, understanding their environment, coordinating socially. They were generalists, highly self-sufficient.
Makes me think about trying to survive in the woods for a week. I'd be lost. But for them, that was just Tuesday. They were solving fundamental survival problems constantly.
And the cognitive effort was immense. Take making stone tools. It sounds basic, maybe banging rocks together.
Yeah.
But to get a really effective tool, you needed complex planning. You had to think multiple steps ahead, visualize the outcome, understand the properties of the stone. It required fine motor control, focus, and hundreds, maybe thousands of hours of practice to master.
Okay, so they were the versatile Swiss Army knives. And we today are more like...
Specialized tools. We're incredibly good within our specific, often very narrow fields, whether that's coding or surgery or financial analysis, but take us out of that context.
And we're pretty helpless, lacking that general self-sufficiency. Okay, let's quickly sum up the gains and losses here. What did we gain in this big trade-off?
Gains are huge, obviously. Much better abstract reasoning. We can handle incredibly complex systems, think computer code, theoretical physics, global finance. Our long-term memory for cultural facts is way better, which is key for building complex societies and knowledge over time.
Okay, abstraction, complex systems, cultural memory. What about the losses? What did we give up?
Well, clearly, those practical survival skills, we've largely outsourced them. Possibly a reduction in that raw perceptual sharpness, that ability to read the environment so acutely, and less reliance day-to-day on that immediate, fluid problem-solving capacity. We tend to rely more on procedures, known solutions, stored knowledge.
And this brings us to how that ancient brain, the caveman brain, as it's sometimes called, operates in our modern world, because we still have it, right?
We absolutely do. That basic architecture is still there, wired primarily for immediate physical threats and navigating small group social dynamics. That's what evolution optimized it for.
And this is the mismatch theory idea. We're running old software on new hardware. Or maybe old hardware in a new world.
Exactly. Our brain evolved to deal with threats like, is that shadow a predator? Or is this person in my tribe a friend or foe? Very immediate, concrete stuff.
But now
the threats are often abstract. An email from your boss, a deadline, traffic jams, social media drama. Your brain, especially the older parts like the amygdala, doesn't always distinguish well. It can react to that stressful email with the same kind of fight-or-flight chemistry that it would use for a charging rhino.
Which explains why we feel such intense, almost life-or-death anxiety about things that aren't actually physically threatening.
Precisely. That chronic stress so many people feel. A lot of it likely stems from this mismatch. Our ancient survival system constantly getting triggered by modern, abstract stressors.
It's like trying to use a hammer to fix a software bug. The tool isn't right for the job. Our default reactions are primal, immediate. but the problems need reasoned, patient thought.
It's a major source of modern angst, you could argue.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, it really forces a rethink. We aren't biologically smarter than our ancestors.
In terms of raw potential, the evidence points to no. We have the same amazing cognitive machine, we just use it differently, massively amplified by culture and technology.
The real game changer wasn't biological evolution of the brain, not in the last 10,000 years anyway, but cultural evolution.
That's the big takeaway. Our collective success isn't about individual brains being superior. It's about building, sharing, and accumulating knowledge and tools over millennia.
Mhm.
We stand on this incredible cultural platform.
Right. So let's nail down the key takeaways from this deep dive.
Okay, first, biology versus culture. Genetically, we're pretty much on par with Paleolithic humans. Same basic cognitive engine. The difference is the cultural software we're running.
Second, the great trade-off. We essentially swap some of that high-octane fluid intelligence, the instant problem-solving, the environmental perception, the Swiss Army knife adaptability for a massive boost in crystallized intelligence, accumulated knowledge, abstract thought, specialization.
And third, scaffolding is key. Our modern genius isn't purely individual. It relies heavily on external tools, writing, math, computers, the internet, and the vast library of knowledge built up by countless generations before us. Civilization itself is our external brain.
Which leaves us with a really potent thought to chew on. A question for you, listening right now. If tomorrow all our technology blinked out, no internet, no libraries, no electricity grids, if we lost all that external scaffolding, how long before our modern specialized minds would be, frankly, outperformed by the sheer practical competence of the fluid intelligence of that Paleolithic Swiss Army knife?
Yeah.
What does our deep reliance on this externalized knowledge really mean for us as individuals going forward?